what made you choose a different path than that study path?
The University of California, Davis is the world's largest agricultural and food university, and we were tasked to decide what should the population eat in general for the 21st century. And when we began to look at what people thought they knew, it became clear we had not been studying health and the development of diets that prevent disease. We'd basically been spending all of our resources on the diseases of middle-aged rich men for probably obvious political and financial reasons. But understanding exactly what should you eat lifelong to be healthy, happy, and protected from disease, there weren't good ideas. And so we went to evolution and asked what evolved to be nourishing and protective and preventative. And of course, when you do that, you realize, well, actually, evolution has been pressuring organisms to avoid being food, because if you're eaten, you're gone. But then that's when lactation, this astonishing idea of mammals, where the mother literally dissolves herself to make a complete and comprehensive diet. When we realized what lactation really was, this comprehensive diet to make healthy babies healthier, to protect them, to prevent diseases, to help them develop, then we knew that this is what we should be studying. And I begrudge every day before I realized how valuable milk was.
So it sounds like the secrets of nutrition and the connection to health lie in mother's milk, from your perspective now.
Oh, absolutely. We call it the Rosetta Stone of nourishment. That if we can understand lactation in milk, then we can understand nourishment in the broader sense. Of course, one of the things we realized is how little scientific emphasis has been placed on mothers, babies, and milk. We shouldn't be discovering the things that we're discovering in the 21st century. They should have been discovered decades ago, but no one has really looked at it. And so a lot of things we're, in essence, discovering are embarrassingly almost obvious. Milk is self-digesting. What a good idea. Babies are not very good at digesting proteins and lipids, so help the baby along. What a good idea. But we shouldn't be discovering that now.
Are the modern tools that you're able to use now, though, I guess there's some advantage there. Does that accelerate the process of discovery now with the genome tools and all of this?
Many of the things that we're discovering couldn't have been discovered until recently. But it's also a, with the decision to recruit all the modern tools of systems biology, what we realized is we were recruiting the scientists from these different fields. And people who were looking at very interesting questions, but we didn't ask if we could have them 100% to milk, 10%. Just come spend time. And it's been wonderful. They've realized that helping mothers and babies is a new goal for their careers. So their careers have gotten better. So as we've brought multidisciplinary scientists to play, you bring their perspectives, and they've been, in essence, made better scientists because they're now looking at milk, and it gives them a unique perspective. So it wins both ways.
So when you say unique perspective, do you mean that they feel that there's more meaning in helping mothers and babies than in what they were doing previously?
The truth is, most modern scientific disciplines are very complex, and you have to focus tremendous amounts of energy and time just to learn the field. And you lose the sense of why are you doing this? And so if I take a modern analytical chemist, they're spending all their time on the physics of ionization of molecules in a vacuum source in order to measure it very accurately. And so you go home in the festive season, what are you doing? I'm studying the ionization in a time-of-flight mass spectrometer. But now they go home, what are you doing? I'm helping babies. One of the big discoveries that we have made is that this system of complex oligosaccharides in human milk is in part feeding an unusual bacterium. And so understanding that mechanism allowed us to say, this is a very good idea. But then we realized, well, actually most babies don't seem to have the bacteria. What happened?
Yeah,
well, it looks like the combination of antibiotics that kill this bacteria. This bacteria is very susceptible to antibiotics. And of course, people are using antibiotics routinely today for very good reasons. They stop infections. But they have this negative consequence, is they kill the bacteria in babies. Cesarean sections. Normally, the live birth of mammals transfers the bacteria from the mother to her baby. A cesarean section is a sterile birth, so the bacteria don't transfer. And of course, infant formula doesn't have the oligosaccharides, and so those bacteria don't flourish. And remember, this is a living organism. So if I stop it, kill it, it doesn't spontaneously grow back. And so for millennia, mother to daughter, these bacteria have transferred. And then one generation, it stopped. And they can't pass it on. But so the translation of that knowledge is very straightforward. Put the bacteria back alive. And away it goes. It grows very well in the baby and dominates the microbial community. So this is an example of the science, very complicated. Took us years to do it, but the solution, put the bacteria back, is actually very, very straightforward.
One more question. So about that, does it then cause long-term damage even for a term infant if they have an overactive immune system in that regard?
So it's a great question. What happens to an immune system when it's going through the first 2 years of life? It's developing various, in essence, processes that will last a long time, perhaps lifelong. And we now can appreciate that evolution favored this microbial community that's very protective of the baby and allows the immune system to develop gently, as opposed to a baby that's full of gram-negative enteropathogens and endotoxin. And an immune system that is exposed for those first 2 years of development to this alarming environment, we think is an immune system that's going to make mistakes. The problem is, in different babies exposed to different kinds of environmental conditions, different kinds of potential pathogens or allergens, the expression of that inappropriate development is different for different babies. Some of them get allergies, some of them get asthma, some of them get irritable, inflammatory diseases of the bowel, all of them related to that early immune development, but because it's different things in different babies, it doesn't look like it's the same cause. It's not the same cause, but underlying it all is this failure of the protective system. Good news is, breastfeeding and the right bacteria and genuinely sets the baby up in a very different health trajectory for life.
That's excellent news. Thank you very much, Professor German.
You're welcome.